All right, y'all. I have something that's been happening quite a bit since I've been licensed in North Carolina. It is bringing back all of the rough feelings of being in real estate in South Carolina starting out and having to do a lot of extras just to be able to take care of my clients. So I'm kind of feeling a little bit ruffled up about it. And I want to know, how do you feel about this scenario? Let's hash it out. If you've ever wondered what's really going on behind the scenes in a real estate transaction, you're in the right place. Whether it's the nail-biting negotiations, the crazy twists and turns throughout a transaction, or the moments that just make you want to pull your hair out, it's all going to be shared. I'm Brittney Frye, and I am the host of the Closing Chapters podcast. Here, we are going to talk about my career transaction by transaction since 2016. And we're also going to go through all of the golden nuggets that I've learned along the way that I would love to share with you. I want to shape your reality in real estate to a world that you can be confident, educated, and make really wonderful decisions for your financial future and build a real estate portfolio. No matter if you are a real estate investor, a first-time home buyer, or a luxury buyer, there's something to be had in this podcast. You're going to see throughout this series that military is really my heart. That is my niche, and if you are a military buyer or seller, you will thrive listening to this podcast. So grab a seat at the closing table and let's close some chapters. So what's the scenario? If you do not have access to my MLS or my lockboxes, should I have to show you the property? There's a couple different ways to look at this, right? The end all be all is we want as many people to see the property as possible for the seller's behalf to sell that listing. Correct. However, at what point do we say, pulley up and do the right thing, agents? If you are going to serve this area, if you are going to work in this area, you need to have access to this area. And I guess the only reason I'm so bitter about this is because when I was in South Carolina, in order for me to work in one area or another area, I had to have access to their areas. The agents did not play nice. They did not share. They were not going to give you additional information. They made it hard. If you wanted to sell and work in that area, you needed to have access to the documentation and to their lockboxes. So I had to pay for a second MLS subscription and to have access to their lockboxes because their MLS and lockboxes were under one system and mine for my area were on another system. It was the same program. We were all using super lockboxes, but they're locked down into separate sections. So I didn't have access to their lockboxes. Now, a lot of agents work in both of these areas, and they happen to be not even 25 minutes apart. There's really close crossover in towns to where there are MLS switches. So you honestly have to be a part of both if you're going to work those areas. You just do. And here, we're in the same boat in North Carolina. There's so many systems so close together. I'm in part of two, and next year I'm going to have to add on a third because the area that I really want to serve is not in either one of the MLSs that I'm a part of right now. How hard is it? And that means I'm paying a lot of fees, and that's not super advantageous either. However, if I'm going to work that area, then it's my job, my responsibility to have access to the information and to have access to the properties. And I truly believe that. So when I have listings and nobody has access to it, it's ever frustrating. And I am clear as day about the fact that if you do not have access to this lockbox, that you will need to get in touch with me ahead of time for the backup instructions. And you want to know what happens every single time? An agent calls me and is texting me when they are there at the property. My life does not revolve around when you are showing the property. There are a lot of times that I'm in meetings, on Zoom calls, doing continuing education, taking care of my children, out doing my own showings. And I can't just stop life right then and there because you did not plan accordingly when I very clearly stated in the showing instructions, you must contact me ahead of time if you do not have access to this lockbox. Now, here's the other piece of it. And this is for the seller safety, right? We want as many people in and out of that property as possible. But you know what I can control when we use a Bluetooth digital lockbox? I can control the access. I can see who has come in and who has gone out. I can limit the hours it can be accessible. Once they have gotten into it, they cannot get into it again unless they log back into their Bluetooth app and re-trigger the lockbox. So a lot of times people will actually shut the empty lockbox and then have to reopen it again to put the key back in it. So I have a lot more control of who's been in the property and a lot more surety and follow-up when I know exactly what has transpired when they actually showed up at the property, right? If I give out a combination to a combination lockbox, you've got it forever. I can't change that on a dime unless I went between every showing and re-changed it, like reconfigured it. That's not happening. And I don't know when you have entered or left the property. I don't know when you've accessed that lockbox. There's a lot more loose strings attached with that, which is why I do not put their showing instructions in the online system. That's why I make the agents contact me directly. Because if you're going to get into that lockbox, then I need to have record of who is in that combination lockbox and that when you got the information from me. So I at least have some sort of accountability for my sellers. So I kind of feel like safety first, and my sellers deserve the peace of mind of knowing that there is one key locked up in a lockbox that only somebody can access with the Bluetooth digital app that goes through the board of realtors. Like there is a process in place. And you can't just download this app and make it work. You have a PIN code to be able to get into it. Like it is a specialized thing that is assigned to you. There's a lot of safety in it. And a lot of times people sell their house while they're still living in the house. So I think that is like what it should be the most important. But should it be my responsibility to have to provide one-day codes or combination lockboxes or additional access and information? Should I have to be emailing over all the documentation to you because you don't have access to the multiple listing system? I have one under contract that I literally had to do that. But guess what? This agent is a part of the second MLS that I'm a part of. Did they even look in their MLS to see if the documentation was there? No. Was all of it there? Yes. It's frustrating, right? We have a lot of work to do as realtors all the time. And there's such a bad rap, once again, for realtors not answering their phone. But hello, friends, we can't answer you every second of every day. And when we are bombarded with a bunch of miscellaneous stuff that could be handled on its own if you had reasonable access to the things you need in order to buy and sell properties for your clients, a lot of the hubbub would go down. We would have an open line for the important stuff that's going on, for the real questions, for the negotiations. What are your thoughts? I know that this is kind of a quickie episode and a little bit, I don't know, it's probably going to make a couple people a little bit ruffled up because a lot of people don't want to try and get access to all these areas. But I just had to refer out a family member a couple months ago to another area of North Carolina because of this very reason. I would love to have helped them. I don't have access to their area. I can't get on their MLS. I can't see what properties are available or just gone under contract and get all the documentation together. I can't get the showing instructions. I don't have access to the property condition disclosures, any of it. So am I truly taking care of them and doing my job if I can't do any of that? If I can't do the proper research that's required of me to take care of them? And the answer is no, I can't. So I referred them to an expert in that area, and that expert did a phenomenal job. And they were all super happy about it. And it's like, so glad that I was able to hand them off to somebody that was competent and absolutely knowledgeable in that area, because that's what we should be. So what do you think? Should we be giving access to agents that do not have access to it naturally? Should agents have to have access to lockboxes? Because here's the other thing. Even within my MLS, people choose whether they want to buy the access into the lockboxes or not. And apparently in this particular area, it's like not a big thing and they don't like to do that. Why? Like if you were an agent and you had the choice of having a digital Bluetooth lockbox on your listing versus a combination lockbox that anybody could access, why? Why would you not want them security? Why would you not want a piece of technology telling you when somebody has accessed that property and who it was, by the way, because it is recognized by their app? I don't get it. Help me out, friends. Am I being unreasonable? Are my expectations too high? Did South Carolina just ruin me and make me feel like that's the way the standard should be? Because when that happened to me, I was really ornery about it for a little while, and then now it's like I get it. I understand that, like, if I want to play ball in that area, then I need to be able to pony up and have access to it. That's part of our job. So let me know. What are your thoughts?